Resolving grief can be a minefield of emotional entanglement and mental distress, but it doesn't have to be that way. This video shares the story of Jill, who, with my help, navigated her compound, complex grief to release the heartache, the tears and trauma that she was experiencing every day. She shares that she no longer fears the remembering, and that shows the depth of grief that can be held. Grief is natural. It is a profound, multifaceted emotion that arises from significant loss. Grief isn't always experienced with the death of a loved one. It can be the ending of a relationship or partnership. It can be losing or moving on from a job. Obviously, it can be the loss of your pets, but it can also be the loss of a lifestyle or any life-changing event, the loss of physical wellness or changes out of your control. It can even be felt as a sense of relief. The pain that grief holds can often feel like a broken heart or a dagger that will not move. It's almost felt that the fear of releasing the grief is also the fear of releasing the loved one. But it doesn't have to be that way, because you can connect in a different way. You can remember the happy times and bring that to your life once more. Grief is not necessarily a singular emotion. It's an entanglement of emotions such as sadness, anger, guilt, loneliness, loss, abandonment, confusion, even disbelief. It can feel like an emptiness inside, echoing through every moment of your day. This emotional entanglement makes grief one of the most complicated emotions to resolve and navigate through. You do not have to die with grief. You do not dishonour your loved one if you move forward and move on. Let me help you resolve and understand the haunting emotion of grief and how you too live honouring your loved one once more. If you'd like to know more about grief and trauma, like, subscribe, and please make a comment below. I can make many videos from the 15 years I've been helping people navigate the emotional entanglement of life, and grief is one of the emotions. For now, let's listen to Jill's story, from where, in her words, there were no more tears and no more trauma, and she could even find laughter inside.
I've had over the years talk therapy, which I'm sure is very beneficial for a lot of people, but it didn't really work for me, because I found that discussing with the therapist what was troubling me, what was upsetting me, what was causing me distress, was all drawn out and dragged out during the appointment. But then once the time was up, you walked out of there and you still felt as wretched as you did in the appointment, and then you had 2 or 3 days of just trying to manage it yourself, and it just seemed to give it a life of its own again. Whereas this that you do is not anything like that. So with you go to the pain that you're feeling, you work through the pain that you're feeling, and then in that session it is resolved. At the end of the session, you don't walk away feeling wretched and a bit out of control and pretty miserable. You walk away feeling resolved and comforted and really helped, and it puts everything into perspective inside your tummy when you're feeling wretched, and that helps you move forward again. So you know that each session is going to be a resolving of an issue, and that's amazing.
Thank you. Part of the disruption in your life was grief. How
Yes.
would you share in particular how it's helped with the process of grief?
I think particularly mine wasn't just an isolated loss of a loved one. I had compounded losses in a 12-month period. So my mum, then my partner, then my father. And I never seemed to be able to get through and deal and process even one of those. And in the midst of all that, I had 3 of my dogs die in the space of 6 weeks. And there's no way that physically you can actually deal with all of that while you're practically dealing with helping another human being stay alive. So at the end of all that loss, it was okay for a few weeks. I thought, okay, I seem to have sort of come through this wallop. And literally, my body started to shut down. My mind started to shut down. And I had no wherewithal at all. So what you've done to help me is to deal with each layer of all that grief. And I think I'm pretty much in acceptance of so much now. I'm functioning and I'm happy.
Can you still think of all of your loved ones with love and the happy memories?
Oh goodness, yes. I quite often, something will just crop up. It may have been a trigger before, but now there'll be something I read, a tune on the radio or something somebody says or a turn of phrase, and it'll be something from one of my parents or Dave, and it'll just make me giggle. It'll make me smile. And I can remember those happy times and those rolling on the floor laughing times and still roll on the floor laughing. So it is all back in perspective, and I just love the memories of them now. I don't fear the remembering anymore.
And how do you manage with anniversaries and dates?
They can be a little bit tough, but it's not go fall to pieces tough. It's a remembrance and a little bit of sadness. There's no tears and trauma. It's just a remembrance and a respect and a sort of a quiet day. But other than that, there's no tears and trauma now.
So if someone else was considering working through their grief or any other emotional trauma that they've experienced, what would you say to them?
This is the way to do it. This is the way to do it so that it doesn't cause you more pain. You are connecting without bearing your soul. You are moving forward. It's such a positive thing. And to my mind, after everything that I went through, to come out the other side as I have, this is the way forward. This is the only way to do it.
Thank you.